Welcome to another edition of the Colors of Prog. It's the first episode I did in a few weeks. Hopefully you'll enjoy this. I'll keep it short and sweet this time. Summer begins in a few weeks here in America and I guess everywhere in the world. So first off, we're going to do an eclectic batch of recordings I'm going to speak of. So we have the Enid. And this is in the region of the summer stars. Well, the Enid's a rather obscure band, actually, British band. Robert John Godfrey is the founder, composer, keyboardist, and Stephen Stewart and Francis Licorice, yes, are the guitar players. And that's pretty much the key band there, the original founders. So this 1976 recording is the second of the records attributed to the Enid. Get at the end. So the band has quite a following. This album in particular is on Bulk Records, which is an independent label that the band had put together. And Robert John Godfrey in particular, he's pretty much the guy. So what do they sound like? I guess you could say symphonic, progressive music. Pretty much the material, the music is recorded in a classical style with progressive rock overtones. And I think it's very interesting that there are some band tracks, like you would get a very quiet sounding tune, and then suddenly you have this kicking in of the electric guitars and percussion, and then it goes back to a very quiet classical sound. Whereas in side two, tracks The Last Judgment and In the Region of the Summer Stars itself, they have a very much more percussive sound. So if you like classical and you like progressive rock, this is certainly an interesting band. I didn't know much about them myself until I did some research for the show, and I managed to pick up a few of their very hard to find recordings. Apparently, Mr. Godfrey, Robert John Godfrey, is a bit of a character, but he is very well respected in the prog rock circles for those who know the band, and they do have quite a following. I enjoyed this so far the most of the records I've heard of the band, but there are others out there that will come another time. So, jumping around, Uriah Heep, dig the Roger Dean album cover. This is the Magician's Birthday, and wild, huh? Sort of typical and then atypical for Dean, in that he created an almost Bakshi-esque cover there. And it's funny, if everybody remembers Ralph Bakshi's animated film The Wizards, I believe that was the title. I mean, did he steal some work from Roger Dean, some influence there, or vice versa? But the band, so Uriah Heep has been around since 1970. This is their second album, The Magician's Birthday. Lee Kerslake, percussion, Gary Thane, bass, Ken Hensley, keyboards, guitar, Mick Box, love that name on guitar, David Byron on vocals. So here's the deal. A lot of progressive rock people out there, fans of the music, fans of the sound of the music, really like Uriah Heep's earliest work, and smattering some. They've done quite a few recordings with a lot of personnel changes over the years. I don't really hear that much prog. Is a little bit of it, but I hear a lot of Deep Purple. I hear a lot of host of bands that were popular between 70 and 73, especially that time period. Hard rock. Easy Living was a hit for Uriah Heep. And but this is a good album, as well as the one that came before it, which I will speak of at another time. This is a beautiful cover. Actually, this is a new vinyl remaster from Sanctuary, one of RCA's, BMG's other labels, the In Groves Music Group. It's on 180 gram vinyl, so I'm not shilling here, but if you really like Uriah Heep, this sounds really good, by the way, so this recording. So I recommend that. Shifting over to Japan, I'm going to speak about Asturias. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with Asturias. They were founded in 1987. Apparently, according to some things I read, disbanded in 93, regrouped again. So there were electric Asturias, and there's acoustic Asturias, and there's there's a lot of Asturias. It's a great band. Satoshi Hirata plays guitar. Tai Sena is the violinist for quite a few of the recordings. Yoshihiro Kawago on keyboards. Kiyotaka Tanabe on drums, and Yoi Ohama on bass. And Yoi and Satoshi are pretty much the guys that drive this band. So, what do they sound like? Again, progressive music with they're very successful at melding classical sounds with electric. Even their acoustic Asturias stuff is just beautiful. It's a great band. I'm a big, big fan of electric Asturias and acoustic Asturias. And I have to say I was lucky to see them live 3 or 4 or 5 times in the past 5 years. Sometimes in one summer during 5 days, I saw them 2 or 3 times. So great band. I'm actually following Stella Lee Jones, which is Satoshi Hirata, the guitarist's other band. They are on YouTube, Bandcamp, perhaps, and other places, or you could just Google it. Stella Lee Jones is not a Grateful Dead band. You might think, or type of band, but no, it's just a side band for the guitar player. And I actually think they're more jazzy and progressive at the same time. But really mind-blowing, Flat 122, an even earlier band of Satoshi, and I believe Oyama. If I'm incorrect, please. Flat 122 is terrific. They did a recording called The Waves in 2005, and another one called Kajiru about 6 years later. Very hard to find, but I found out YouTube had it. But I believe, according to Satoshi Hirata's post recently on Facebook, of all places, he's going to re-release Flat 122 maybe on the band's Bandcamp or on the Stella Lee Jones Bandcamp page, so keep an eye out for that. You can listen to The Waves on YouTube, but please support the band. Anyway, Electric Asturias has quite a few, and Acoustic Asturias has quite a few recordings out there. I'll be discussing some of the other ones later on over a period of time, but Trinity is the newest from 2019. Highly recommend it. I mean, just a brilliant band. Very entertaining. My only qualm would be that all the recordings always sound so short, but then if you really love the music, you want it to go on forever, don't you? Anyway, Asturias, really personal favorite of mine. So, let's go over to Italy. Loccanda della Fate. So, another beautiful gatefold sleeve. just nice. And I like how the inner part of this actually shows the band's ages. Time has caught up with them, but they're still phenomenal musicians. Time has caught up with everyone. Time waits for no one. So, Loccanda della Fate. So that in Italian, translate into English as the Fairies Inn, INN. A very well respected Italian band, rock progressive Italiano RPI band. Their first album, La Forza delle Luci Non Amano Più, The Fireflies Don't Love Each Other Anymore, I didn't make that up, was released in 1977 to acclaim. The short, I think 40 to 45 minutes album, actually probably longish by some RPI recordings, on average, some things like 32 minutes, 35 minutes. Short. Again, as I was referring to Asturias, if you really like the music, you want more of it. That album is highly revered by the Italian progressive rock lovers. And so Leonardo Sasso on vocals has a great voice. Michele Canta keyboards and also vocals, and it's a multi-instrumentalist actually. Ezio Veve on guitars and Alberto Gavigiglio also on guitars. Oscar Mazzoglio and I'm sorry if I'm murdering the language. They were all responsible for that first album. So there was a second record called Homo Homini Lupus, 1999. So after that first album in '77, the band disbanded a year or two later. Too long to get into. But the band, with some personnel changes, minus the original singer, regrouped in '99 for an album that some people like and some people don't like, but I think the big shakeup was that the original singer was replaced, or wasn't around, but he was still around for 2010 reunion, the Bloom Festival. It's a Prog convention in Italy. There's been a few recordings that surfaced from the Bloom Festival. This was released on AMS Records. And they usually, AMS Italian label, by the way, folks, usually do a terrific job on mastering and remastering of older material. I found this and the Alpha Taurus, yes, Alpha Taurus, which is another Progvention live album, to be a bit thin, sound-wise. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. I've never heard compact disc versions of these shows, but anyway, so what do we have here is some material from the much revered 1977 album, as well as some material from later on. And the interesting thing is there are some members, Leonardo Sasso is back, the original singer, as well as Oscar is back as well. There are some members that are from the 1999 version of the Fairies Inn. So, interesting. I like this. I like the songs. I just wish the audio was better on this. But I'm not totally going to say it's an A. I mean, if I tweak around more at my sound system, I might get it to sound terrific. Anyway, it's a really nice recording. Great to hear the band together again. Before I go out and leave you all, so we're going to mention Hoshiko Yamane. Hoshiko's been a violinist, electric violinist, an acoustic violinist with Tangerine Dream since 2011. So she actually worked with Edgar Froese and the core members of that band, and is still with Tangerine Dream. She performs often during the pandemic from her studio, making music for us, trying to just keep ahead of everything. So Hoshiko has been releasing a lot of music, also in conjunction with others, while preparing for the ease of the pandemic overseas, for Tangerine Dream also to resume their touring. Tuxico is one of her side gigs. It's another thing she's created, and Primitive is this recording, 2020. It's very nice. I compare her music to almost Tangerine Dream soundscapes. She's really good at creating soundscapes. And so, yeah, that's another thing in this prog rock realm, is the ability to create and form sounds that transport you to other places. She's really good. Highly recognized. She's a very nice lady, by the way. We've had some brief exchanges on Facebook, and I really dig her music. So, yeah, Hoshiko Yamane, she's on Bandcamp. And throw her name into YouTube. She frequently performs with public domain visuals and plays live as well. She's also on Facebook. I highly recommend, support the artist. Anyway, that's our show. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back again very soon with something entirely different. Stay well.